Have you ever walked into a room, said something, and suddenly the energy shifts? People stop making eye contact. They nod, but they don't listen. They smile, but it's empty. You didn't insult anyone. You didn't start a fight. You just said something. And right then, whether you knew it or not, you lost their respect. Here's the brutal truth. It's not just your actions that define you. It's the little things you say without thinking. The excuses, the complaints, the self-deprecating jokes. Every word either builds your reputation or burns it. So if you've ever wondered why people don't take you seriously, why they stop trusting you or quietly write you off, this video is going to sting a little, because these are things you say that make people lose respect for you. And once they do, they rarely tell you. By the way, if you enjoy deep, thought-provoking insights on stoicism, self-improvement, and navigating life with wisdom, you'll love my free newsletter. Every Sunday, I share powerful lessons, controversial truths, and practical strategies to help you level up, all for free. Want to join? Sign up using the link below and start receiving value-packed content straight to your inbox every week. And if you're a brand looking to sponsor my content and reach a highly engaged audience, feel free to reach out via my email in the description. Let's create something impactful together. 1. I'm broke, always. I used to say this a lot. It almost became a joke among my friends, a self-deprecating punchline I'd throw out every time the bill came, or when someone suggested a trip, or when they asked why I was still living with my parents at 26. Bro, I'm broke. I'm always broke. I'd laugh as I said it, but deep down it wasn't funny. It was true, painfully true, and somehow saying it made me feel a little less responsible for it. Like if I kept announcing it, maybe people wouldn't expect anything more from me. But here's what I didn't realize. Every time I said it, people respected me just a little less. Not because I didn't have money, that's human, but because I wore poverty like a personality trait. I embraced it. I branded myself with it. I wasn't just broke financially. I was broke mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it showed. See, when you constantly say, I'm broke, you're not just talking about your wallet. You're telling people you've given up, that you've accepted your situation as permanent, that you're not actively doing anything to change it. I remember a time when a close friend invited me to a small weekend getaway. Nothing extravagant, just friends, a cabin, some fresh air. I said my usual line, "Can't go, man. I'm broke. You know me." He paused, looked at me, and said something that hit me in the chest like a brick. "Dude, you've been saying that for 3 years." 3 years. That was the moment it clicked. I had been hiding behind the words, using them as a shield to avoid responsibility, discipline, and most of all, discomfort. But here's the truth I learned the hard way. People respect the man who says, "I'm struggling right now, but I'm figuring it out." They respect the woman who says, "I'm tight on cash, but I'm building something." They don't lose respect because you're broke. They lose respect because you make being broke your identity. When you say it constantly, you begin to believe it. You act poorer than you are. You miss out on opportunities because you've convinced yourself you're not worthy of them. And the worst part, people start to believe you too. They stop inviting you, stop counting on you, stop believing in you, because you clearly don't believe in yourself. This isn't just about money, this is about mindset. And mindset is what people subconsciously respect or reject. I had to rewire my entire way of speaking. I stopped saying, "I'm broke," started saying, "I'm being careful with money," or That's not a priority for me right now, or even, I can't afford it yet. That one word, yet, changed everything. It injected hope into my sentences. It reminded people that I wasn't stuck. I was just in motion. I was working, evolving, trying. And when people saw that, the respect returned, not overnight, but gradually, through actions, through consistency, through shifting my language from defeat to progress. So if you're someone who casually says, "I'm broke," all the time, let me tell you something real. Being broke is a situation. Staying broke is a choice. And bragging about being broke, that's a habit, a self-destructive one. You don't have to fake wealth. But don't advertise your limitations either. Instead, speak with the energy of someone who is on their way. Speak with the quiet confidence of someone who knows that better days are coming, because they're working for them. People don't just respect who you are now, they respect where you're going. So stop reminding them of your lack, and start showing them your growth. Even if your pockets are empty, let your words sound wealthy. 2. It's not fair. I used to say this when things didn't go my way, when someone less experienced got the job I wanted, when I worked hard but didn't get noticed, when life kicked me while I was already down. It's not fair, I'd mumble to myself, sometimes out loud, sometimes just in my head. And you know what? I was right. It wasn't fair, but that didn't change anything. No one showed up with a trophy for being the most unfairly treated. No one handed me success out of pity. In fact, the more I complained, the more people pulled away from me. Because here's the brutal truth. It's not fair is the anthem of the powerless, the modern-day battle cry of those who've already surrendered. I once had a colleague, less skilled, less disciplined, but insanely good at selling himself. He knew how to be in the right rooms, say the right things, shake the right hands. And one day, he got promoted. Over me. I was furious. I had numbers. I had results. And all I could say was, "This is ridiculous. It's not fair." I repeated that sentence like a broken record, to my friends, to my family, even to myself. But each time I said it, I felt smaller, weaker, more helpless. Until someone I respected pulled me aside and said, "Yeah, it's not fair. And now what?" That shook me, because fairness is not guaranteed in this life, and clinging to it, expecting it, only leaves you bitter. See, life isn't a courtroom. There's no judge making sure everything balances. Sometimes people cheat and win. Sometimes people lie and get ahead. Sometimes you do everything right and still fall short. That's life. It's chaos dressed as order. And the sooner you stop expecting fairness, the sooner you can start building resilience. Here's the hard lesson I had to learn. Winners don't wait for fairness. They adapt. They find leverage. They play the game, even when the rules don't make sense. They don't cry over injustice. They use it as fuel. And the irony, the more you stop seeking fairness, the more life starts rewarding you. Because people respect those who keep going, who fight back without whining, who take the hit and move forward anyway. When you say, "It's not fair," what you're really saying is, "I expected the world to treat me how I think I deserve, and now I'm angry that it didn't." But life doesn't operate on your expectations. It operates on reality, and reality favors the adaptable, not the entitled. So now, when something unjust happens to me, I don't say, "It's not fair." I say, "All right, this is the battlefield. These are the conditions. Let's go." Because every unfair situation is a chance to rise without applause, to grow when no one's watching, to outwork, outthink, and outlast the ones who had the easier path. And when people see that, They respect you more than they ever would have if things had been handed to you fairly. So if you catch yourself saying, "It's not fair," stop, breathe, and remind yourself, fairness is a fantasy, growth is real, and life doesn't reward the victim. It rewards the one who keeps swinging long after they should have given up. You don't need fairness. You need fire. 3. They're just lucky. I used to say this when I saw someone win, when a guy my age bought a brand new car, when a friend landed a job in a top firm, when someone's video went viral overnight. They're just lucky, I'd say with a smirk, pretending I didn't care. But the truth is, I did. It stung. Because if their success was just luck, then I didn't have to take responsibility for my own lack of progress. It gave me an excuse to stay where I was, to keep scrolling, keep judging, keep doing the bare minimum. But here's what I didn't realize at the time. Calling someone lucky is a quiet confession of envy. It's a mask we wear when we don't want to admit someone outworked us, outlearned us, or took risks we were too scared to take. I remember a guy from my school, not particularly smart, not particularly talented, but he was obsessed with building something online. While the rest of us were partying or chilling, he was studying trends, editing videos, selling weird products on the internet. Years later, I saw him blowing up on YouTube, sponsorships, interviews, his own brand, and the first thing that slipped out of my mouth? Pfft, he's just lucky the algorithm liked him. But if I'm being brutally honest, that lucky break was built on 4 years of being ignored, 4 years of failed content, 4 years of staying consistent while the rest of us quit after 3 uploads. That's not luck. That's endurance. See, luck is never the full story. Yes, timing matters. Yes, connections help. But calling it just luck is lazy. It's a way of pretending the world is unfair so we don't have to change. But guess what? Every lucky person you know made decisions you didn't. They sacrificed things you held on to. They showed up when no one cared. They stayed up when you went to sleep. They practiced when you complained. They kept swinging when life told them to stop. Luck may open the door, but discipline, risk, failure, and consistency are what get you to the door in the first place. People don't lose respect for you because you're not successful yet. They lose respect when you mock those who are. When you reduce someone's years of sweat into one word, luck, it reveals something ugly. It shows that you're more committed to being bitter than being better. And people sense that energy. It pushes them away. Here's what I say now when I see someone succeed. Good for them. What can I learn from this? That one question flipped my mindset, because when you admire instead of resent, when you study instead of scoff, you open doors within yourself. You begin to realize success leaves clues. And when you start to act on those clues, people respect you more. Not because you're perfect, but because you're growing. So the next time you're tempted to say, "They're just lucky," pause, look closer. Ask yourself, what did they do that I'm avoiding? And then go do it. Because at the end of the day, luck is nothing without preparation. And if you're always waiting for luck, you'll always be waiting. But if you prepare like luck is coming, eventually it will. 4. I hate people. I used to say this with pride, as if it made me seem deep, like I had been through so much that I had seen the truth about humanity, like I was too smart to be fooled by anyone anymore. I hate people, I'd say when someone betrayed me, when someone cut me off in traffic, when a friend disappointed me, when the world didn't meet my unrealistic expectations. It felt powerful, like I was protecting myself from more pain. But in reality, I wasn't protecting anything. I was isolating myself, pushing away connection, growth, and even opportunities. You see, people lose respect for you when you say this, not because they disagree, but because it screams bitterness. It tells them you haven't healed, that instead of doing the hard inner work, you've just written everyone off. And here's the harsh part. Saying, "I hate people," doesn't make you deep. It makes you emotionally lazy. Anyone can hate. Anyone can generalize. Anyone can sit in their room and complain about how fake and toxic everyone is. But it takes real strength to engage, to forgive, to keep your heart open in a world that tries to close it. I remember a phase in my life, after a major betrayal from someone I trusted with everything. It shattered me. I started looking at everyone through that same cracked lens. Every smile felt fake. Every compliment sounded manipulative. Every friendship, suspicious. I withdrew, not because I was superior, but because I was scared. And that's what "I hate people" usually hides: fear. Fear of being hurt again, fear of being seen, fear of being vulnerable in a world that doesn't promise safety. But here's the truth. People aren't perfect. They're complicated. They're messy, selfish, insecure, just like you. But they're also generous, loving, inspiring, also like you. When you say, "I hate people," what you're really saying is, "I hate that people have the power to hurt me." And I get that. But removing yourself from humanity isn't strength. It's surrender. There's something else too. When you say that phrase publicly, it creates distance. People stop trusting you. They stop opening up. Why would they connect with someone who already wrote them off? It's like walking into a room with a shirt that says, "I don't like any of you." You can't expect connection when you radiate contempt. And without connection, what are we really? Success becomes empty, conversations become shallow, life becomes numb. Now, I'm not saying you have to be naive. You shouldn't blindly trust everyone. Some people will waste your time, some will lie, some will betray you. But that's not a reflection of everyone. It's a reflection of your standards, your boundaries, your growth. The better you become, the better people you attract. Not instantly, but eventually. But if you decide to hate everyone, you'll never give yourself the chance to experience that. So these days, when I hear someone say, "I hate people," I don't get offended. I just see pain. I see someone who was probably kind once and got crushed. I've been that person. But I also know you don't heal by closing the door on the world. You heal by walking back into it, wiser, sharper, but still open. And that's what earns respect. Because anyone can become bitter, but becoming better, now that's rare. 5. I don't have time. I used to say this all the time, to my friends, to myself, even to people I admired. I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to read. I don't have time to start that business. I don't have time to learn a new skill. It became my default excuse for everything I knew I should be doing, but wasn't. And here's what I learned the hard way. When you keep saying, "I don't have time," people stop respecting your words and start questioning your priorities. Because let's be real, we all have 24 hours. It's not that we don't have time, it's that we're giving our time to the wrong things. I'd spend 2 hours scrolling social media, but didn't have time to build that side hustle. I'd binge watch Netflix every weekend, but didn't have time to visit my grandparents. I had time. I just didn't value it. When you say, "I don't have time," what you're really saying is, "I hate people." I don't have time to work out. I don't have time to read. I don't have time to start that business. I don't have time to learn a new skill. It became my default excuse for everything I knew I should be doing, but wasn't. And here's what I learned the hard way. When you keep saying, "I don't have time," people stop respecting your words and start questioning your priorities. Because let's be real, we all have 24 hours. It's not that we don't have time, it's that we're giving our time to the wrong things. That's not important enough to me right now. That's what people hear. So when someone invites you to something meaningful and you hit them with, I'd love to, but I don't have time, they might nod politely, but inside, they feel dismissed, disrespected, especially when they know, just like you do, that you spent 3 hours yesterday watching people you don't know dance on TikTok. Let's flip the script. I had a mentor once, brutally honest guy. I told him I didn't have time to start working on my goals because I had a full-time job. He looked at me and said, "Then wake up earlier, go to bed later. You're not busy, you're undisciplined." That hit me hard. But he was right. There are single moms working 2 jobs who still find time to better themselves. There are students in war-torn countries reading books in bomb shelters. There are people with far less luxury than me, doing far more with their time. That changed everything. I stopped saying, "I don't have time." I started saying, "I'll make time." And that subtle shift, it flipped my mindset completely. It taught me that time is not something you find, it's something you create. Here's the thing, people respect effort, they respect hustle, they respect those who take ownership of their life, even if they're not perfect. But when you keep blaming time, this thing we all have equally, you come off as someone who avoids responsibility. Someone who hides behind busyness instead of facing what really needs to change. And honestly, when I hear someone say, "I don't have time," over and over, I don't argue. I just think, you don't have time because you don't make time, and you don't make time because you don't care enough. That's the raw truth. If something really matters to you, you will create time. You will squeeze it in. You will wake up earlier, say no to distractions, turn off notifications, and go to war with every second you're given. Because when you respect your time, people start respecting you. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I don't have time," stop. Ask yourself what you're really avoiding. Is it discomfort, effort, fear of failing? Then flip the phrase, say, "I'll make time," and watch how your life starts to shift, and how people begin to see you differently. Not as someone who's overwhelmed, but as someone who's in control. 6. They always do this to me. There was a time in my life when I said this phrase like it was some kind of tragic theme song. Whenever things went wrong, whenever I got ghosted, ignored, overlooked, or betrayed, my go-to response was, "They always do this to me." And I'd say it with that sad little chuckle, like the whole world was just conspiring to break my heart, like life was this rigged game and I was the designated loser. But here's what I didn't realize back then. That sentence doesn't just make you sound like a victim, it keeps you one. People lose respect for you when they hear it, not because they're heartless, but because it sounds like you've completely surrendered your power. It tells the world, I don't learn from patterns, I don't set boundaries, I don't grow, I just get played. It's a statement soaked in helplessness. And let's be real, no one respects someone who refuses to take responsibility for their own life. I used to blame them for everything. They always leave. They always use me. They always lie to me. Until one day, someone looked me straight in the eye and said, "You're right. They always do this to you because you always let them." I was silent, embarrassed, but deep down, I knew they were right, because behind every "they always do this to me" story is a trail of ignored red flags, of boundaries not enforced, of gut feelings shoved aside just to feel liked, loved, or accepted. Let me give you a brutal truth. People treat you the way you allow them to, and if certain things always happen to you, it's time to stop blaming the pattern and start asking why you keep walking into it. I had to face myself. Why did I keep attracting the same kind of people? Why did I let them stay even after the disrespect started? Why did I value their approval more than my own self-worth? The answers were ugly, but facing them, that was the beginning of my healing. Here's what I learned. When you stop saying they always do this to me and start saying, I've allowed this before but not anymore, everything changes. That's when people start taking you seriously. That's when respect returns, because now you're not a victim. You're someone who learns, someone who evolves, someone who sets boundaries and holds them, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. And let's be clear, you don't have to become cold or ruthless. You just have to become aware. Stop romanticizing patterns of pain. Stop turning repeated wounds into your identity. You're not cursed. You're not unlucky. You're just overdue for a new standard. And don't get me wrong, it's okay to feel hurt. It's okay to feel confused, disappointed, even angry. But don't stay there. Don't pitch a tent in the valley of victimhood and call it home. Rise up. People will hurt you, yes. But what you do next determines whether they continue or whether they lose access to you entirely. And the moment you stop repeating, they always do this to me, is the moment you start writing a new story. One where you call the shots, one where you set the tone, and one where people either rise to meet your standards or get left behind. And that's when the world starts respecting you. 7. Nobody likes me. There was a phase in my life when this phrase was on repeat in my head. I'd walk into a room and instantly assume I didn't belong. If someone laughed, I thought it was about me. If a message went unanswered, I took it personally. And deep down, I clung to this belief like it was part of my DNA. Nobody likes me. But let's talk about the damage this phrase causes. Not just to your confidence, but to the way people see you. Because when you keep saying, nobody likes me, whether out loud or silently, it doesn't make people feel sorry for you. It makes them uncomfortable. It makes them second guess why they like you. And worst of all, it teaches people how to treat you. Let me explain. When someone constantly claims, nobody likes me, what they're really doing is fishing for reassurance over and over again. And at first, people might say, of course we like you. You're amazing, but say it too many times. And people get tired, because being around someone who doesn't believe they're likable is draining. And here's the hard truth. If you don't like yourself, you'll always suspect others don't either. I used to sit alone and wonder what was wrong with me. Why didn't people gravitate toward me like they did to others? Why did I feel invisible, even in a crowded room? But eventually I realized it wasn't that people disliked me. It's that I gave off the energy of someone who didn't value themselves. And people mirror what you believe about yourself. If you walk into a room thinking you're a burden, people will unconsciously treat you like one. If you assume no one wants to talk to you, you won't talk to anyone, and then blame them for not reaching out. If you expect rejection, you'll find it even when it's not there. Self-pity repels connection. Self-respect attracts it. I had to unlearn my need to be liked by everyone, and more importantly, I had to learn to like myself first. That meant facing some ugly truths. I wasn't always being authentic. Sometimes I'd say what I thought people wanted to hear, just to avoid disapproval. Other times I'd isolate myself and then resent people for not checking in. But the moment I stopped seeking constant validation and started showing up as me, flaws, weirdness and all, things changed. I began attracting real friendships, the kind that didn't require me to perform or beg for attention, the kind that felt easy, mutual, and honest. You want people to like you. Here's the secret. Be okay if they don't. Because when you're desperate to be liked, you'll sacrifice your identity. But when you're grounded in who you are, even if you're still growing, people feel that. It's attractive, it's magnetic, it's real. And yes, not everyone will like you, that's a given. But saying nobody likes me is not only untrue, it's disrespectful to the people who do care about you. It's like erasing their presence with your insecurity. So, flip the narrative. Instead of, nobody likes me, say, not everyone has seen the real me yet, but the right ones will. And while you're waiting for those people to show up, or for those friendships to deepen, become someone you would like. Confident, honest, kind, boundaried. Because when you like yourself, you stop depending on the approval of others to feel valid. And that's when respect flows in, from others, but more importantly, from yourself. The truth is, it's not always what you do that makes people lose respect for you. Sometimes it's what you say, those casual phrases you repeat without thinking, that slowly chip away at how people see you and how you see yourself. But here's the good news. You can change your language, you can change your mindset, and when you do that, the world changes how it responds to you. Start speaking with power, start speaking with purpose, and stop letting weak phrases define a strong person. Because every word you say is a reflection of what you believe about yourself. So believe better, speak better, and watch how people begin to treat you with the respect you were always capable of earning. And if this video shook you up, even a little, good. That means you're ready to evolve. Now go, and speak like someone who knows their worth.